everybody, and how are you, Ale?
Well, man, I could tell you I'm doing great, but actually I'm just trying to survive to the heat here in Rome. What about you?
Hey, I swear I'm boiling here, but at least the temperature's not as high as that of the US, right?
Yeah, you're right. And the burning US politics, especially getting closer to November 24 elections, is the topic of the second part of the first episode of AperiPolitics.
Well, let's start with some facts. According to Economist, so some days ago, there has been a poll which shows Trump at 44% in favorability versus Harris at 41%. Maybe it changed because some days have passed, but more or less these are the numbers. So it means that Trump is winning marginally so far. I also checked a website which is dedicated for these kinds of things called 272 The Win, and it collects various polls, averages them out, and gives a result. In this case, for 270, Trump is once again on top. He's most likely going to win so far, as I said. Kennedy, he's out of the race. Well, not really. Technically, he's not out of the race, but numbers-wise, he is, which is a shame. What do you think, Ale?
Well, I could tell you that I agree that probably Trump is going to win. This has been predicted a long time ago, and I think the candidature of Kamala is not going to change this. Probably there will be more competition between the two, respect to Biden. But I'm actually very sorry for Kennedy because I felt like he had a huge support between the Youth people, between Hispanic communities. So I think the Democrats have made the wrong choice in excluding him a priori and also not considering him again right now, as well as I think they have committed an important error candidating Kamala Harris instead, for example, of Michelle Obama. You may say Michelle Obama is not a politician, she has not experience in politics, but I've heard a lot of Democrats, a lot of Americans voting Democrats, that probably Michelle Obama would have won because she would have received also support from some Republicans, or at least she would have received more support also in the between the Democrats. What do you think about Michelle?
I don't have too much of a strong opinion on Michelle because I never seen her in a politician's vest, but I think there's better options such as Gavin Newsom or other currently running Democrats who would actually bring a fresh face to the Democratic Party. I think Michelle Obama would be a vote for someone who represents the Obama family rather than an actual serious person. Again, might change India if she ever decides to become a candidate, but that's my thoughts so far. I want to say something really cool, which is, have you ever thought about the fact that this election is probably one of the rarest of elections because it's a case study insofar as we had Biden administration and the Trump administration back to back, and so people can literally do a one-to-one comparison of them?
Yeah, that is a great opportunity for Americans. I'd say that people still have to consider the two different historical moments, we can say, because both had the administration for at least a certain period under the pandemic of COVID-19. But I think Trump got hit harder than Biden. For this reason, maybe it's not a so balanced comparison, but pandemic aside, well, it's a great possibility for Americans to evaluate all the crucial areas where their presidents have done policies, to understand who has done better, and to evaluate who could be better for the future, for the next 4 years.
Right. Well, let's do that very quickly with an overview. Not gonna go very much in detail for every topic, but I would say it would be a fun thing to do. You in it?
Yeah, I'm in it.
Okay. So, economy. These are some facts that I know / have researched a little bit from unbiased sources. So, inflation. This is probably the worst point for Biden because prices have risen 19.3% since Biden took office, which is almost 4 times faster than Trump's terms. And by the way, the entire Trump's term. Then I would say hiring. 3 years and 5 months into Biden's term, the U.S. economy has created 15.6 million jobs versus 12.6 million for Trump. So Biden probably did a better job here, no pun intended. But yeah, they have to see what kind of jobs they are, part-time, full-time, and where what. But let's say, face value here, Biden won. National debt, Biden has so far added 4.3 trillion, while Trump added 8.4 trillion, which is double growth. Biden had the economy grow 8.4% versus 6.5% of Trump. However, this is where I agree with you, meaning that the pandemic here and is specified that from the analysts that the pandemic, had there been no pandemic, Trump's growth rate was going to be higher than Biden's, but obviously that's what happened. So I don't know. I think this is a tie because it's a hypothetical, so we can't really tell. And lastly, consumer sentiment. Confidence economy for Americans has been very low with Biden because they're not financially secure or happy, especially for the gas prices. So I would say this objectively goes to Trump. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree. Most of the economic side should go to Trump, despite maybe some areas, some key areas where Biden's performed.
Right. Which, by the way, sorry to interrupt you, infrastructure, there has been a great investment by Biden on infrastructure, which I appreciate. I always think that infrastructure is important in any and all state. So I agree. Most of the wins go to Trump for this, but some also go to Biden. Should we move on to migration?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick note to remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
under Trump in 2020, we had the USMCA to replace NAFTA, and that was a huge agreement to improve to the creation of new jobs, to protect the manufacturing sector or other sectors specifically very well performing in the United States. So I think that Trump had never really the opportunity to increase the functions of the USMCA, given that after just 1 year he had to leave the presidency to Biden. But I think that is a huge agreement, despite I'm a little bit concerned because I heard that Trump would not like to continue it, but would impose like a universal tax. So I'm not well aware of what he's doing.
Yeah. Migration. So for migration, I think that honestly, Trump wins again. At least he's being not hypocritical because Biden said that he didn't want to go hard on migrants. However, he did do that because initially he basically reverted Trump's policy, and then he ended the Remain in Mexico policy, and then he issued an executive order in June 2024 to temporarily close the border and prevent migrants from seeking asylum. Plus, his vice president Kamala Harris was nominated as the czar of migration. Yet the numbers say that she's the czar of no migration because the migrant encounters in the southern border for 2023 were with a record high 200,000, and just for December plus 2.5 million in 2023 fiscal year. What do you think, Ale?
Well, I think despite being a so crucial topic, immigration border crisis, there's not so much to debate on because Trump practically nailed it, still not in absolute terms, but compared to Biden. I mean, it's a different approach. Biden has more we protect human rights approach, while Trump has a more national security first approach. So it depends what you prefer. I honestly prefer national security, obviously still respecting human rights. That doesn't imply that you should kill people, let people die naturally. But I think Trump at least was not hypercritical in what he did, because he always said, I will protect the border, I will not let illegal migrants enter, and blah, blah. While Biden was totally hypocrite because he said, okay, I do not want to do the same errors Trump made, so I do not want to build a wall, I want to stop the construction of it. He initially did so, but then apparently he constructed again the wall. So I don't know what he's doing. It's so hypocritical what he's doing. So I think here again Trump wins, and I agree with you on that. So I think we can also now move to a delicate topic, which is very delicate, such as social policies. Here we enter a sphere where we have to pay attention to what we say, both for our audience and also because we do not know really how to move. I think it's a really complicated environment, the social policies in America. Each president has done different policies. If you do not live there or follow daily what happens, it's difficult to say who's right, who's wrong, who's doing better than another. What do you think?
You mean for social policies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. The social policies are a very delicate topic for American politics, even Europe, but in the America, in the US, it's very worse. So I don't know if you didn't hear, if you heard about Vance's comment on ladies.
No, I honestly have not.
So he said that many women, or specifically Democratic women, Democrat women, sorry, are childless cat ladies. I think this is very bad policy and very bad propaganda, because if you're trying to win and you're campaigning on hating women, or at least this comment, I'm not saying in general, but just this comment was not a nice comment, you're not going to win. Think about it. The MAGA base is still going to vote for Trump no matter what. So you have to attract the independent audience, the audience of, say, Kennedy. If you start attacking women saying, hey, you don't have babies, you don't want to have a family, you're not going to win their vote. And so far, we've seen that election is very close. So I think the strategy for both sides has to talk policy or talk strengths instead of going ad hominem, like, for example, Kamala to Trump saying, hey, yeah, you are creepy and weird and that. And then you suck at blah, 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 versus Trump saying, yeah, you're just like an Indian woman who switched to being black very recently. I think this morning he did it. And all these ad hominems just don't make sense.
Yeah, I agree. Comments like the one Vance did are totally useless in politics, at least if you want to achieve votes. So if you want to lose, that's okay. You can do ad hominem. But if you want to win, and I think Vance would win because he would become vice president, he should avoid doing such awful comments to he refer to women, because you should be intelligent, diplomatic, to understand that you should do something more open to everybody, so something more welcoming to attract, as you correctly said, votes from the independent ones. Even try to steal votes from the Democrats. Why not?
100%. That's why you have to be professional. Now, I know that Trump is voted and is quote unquote loved because he's more of a comedian type. He reminds me in a way of Beppe Grillo, because he's very bombastic, very strong comments. He says a lot of things that he's gonna do, but not to the extent that that he said, right? So like, I'm gonna cut the ties with Iran completely and China, and they're gonna pay when Mexico's gonna pay all that. They're not gonna do it, but that means he's gonna be strong with them. So there's that.
Yeah,
Let's move on to
sorry to interrupt you.
yeah.
I don't remember the author of this theory or who called this kind of politicians that way, but he's called trickster. He's a trickster.
Yeah. I definitely see that type as I agree 100%. Foreign policy. So for social topics, I think it's a tie because both parties are doing horribly.
Yeah.
But for foreign policy, I have to give it to Trump. Tell me your thoughts.
No, I agree. We have to give it to Trump again because, I mean, even if you see that, like, Trump was more, we can say, allegedly warmongering, more aggressive towards foreign countries like Iran when he interrupted the JCPOA, when he killed the General Soleimani, also expressing his full support to Palestine, and also not directly
Israel.
attacking Russia. Israel. I'm sorry. Not directly attacking Russia, or at least saying that also what is happening in Ukraine is not correct from the Ukrainian side. I think apart from that, we should consider that under his administration, none of these two wars I just mentioned was there. So, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory to me. I would prefer a president who avoids, even if with some aggressive means, with some particular means, but who avoids wars and danger to the entire war, because actually we're talking about danger to the entire war, than a president who, just to be more peaceful, leaves to war happening, then he makes the other countries lose the respect of the United States, which is extremely, extremely terrible and awful for the United States.
I think America's in a really, really bad spot right now in terms of foreign policy. So with Trump, you had the killing of Soleimani. Just bear me with a second. Who in God's green earth dares to kill the second in command of Iran? Think about it. That's such a very strong policy, to say the least, right? It's like a hammer. Like he's hammering down Iran, versus Biden's America, where they went away from Afghanistan. They departed with and leaving all the guns and equipment in Afghanistan to the Taliban. I know Trump was going to do it, but I assume hypothetically he would have not done it the same way. With Ukraine, I think all the topics around who's going to win, or I think Russia won simply because this war should not happen in the first place. The moment you saw the Russian troops on the border, a strong president would have said, "Hey, yo, what's going on here?" And he would have either diplomatically or through force, so by sending troops there on the other side of the border, he would have stopped them. I think, at least. Even with Kim Jong-un, by saying, "I have a bigger button than yours," implying, yeah, you might have some nukes, but I've got a lot more. I think all that policy is great. In foreign policy, you have to be, for a lack of a better term, an alpha in the room, like a gangster, because they're not going to play by the books, right? Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, either you show yourself as strong with a coherent policy, economic might, maybe even military might, just a threat though, obviously not attacking them outright. That's how you do it, and that's how I think Trump wins in foreign policy. Biden just seems too weak and senile for an effective leader in this specific scenario.
Yeah, I totally agree. That I think that relates really with what realists call security dilemma. I mean, Trump showed the other country he had big guns. He had an infinity of guns to punish all the other countries, and so the other countries do not dare to attack a country which was sympathizer with the United States or just simply kind of ally. While under Biden's administration, then the other countries saw, oh, well, this president is not doing well in defense, he's retreating from Afghanistan, he's not giving support to this, to that, he has lost the support of Saudi Arabia, so maybe we can do something because he will not react. And this is exactly what happened. So I don't know. I think we need, the Americans need a strong leader. And the strength Trump has demonstrated has also occurred during his attempted assassination. As you see, when he stood up from the floor after he got shot and he said with the right punch, fight, fight, fight. What do you think about that?
Honestly, that goes hard. Like, seriously, that was one of the best pictures. The photographer was such a great one. That picture is so good, with the American flag, the blood, the fight, fight, fight. Any president that would have done that, like, you get my vote. Obviously, I'm not American. I wish. But I think it's much more symbolic, because it might show the rise of America after like a hard-hitting scenario or a term or period. So that's a great picture. I think Trump showed a very resolute character there. And I think the Secret Service did a poor job. It's either incompetence or willful negligence. Because if you ask me, and I've watched some videos by experts, but obviously I'm not an expert. How do you get a kid with an AR-15? He could have had an AR-15 or even a pistol, does not matter, at 120 meters, which in modern terms, with modern guns, that's nothing. The rules, I think an average engagement is around 300 meters in modern fighting, just to put it in perspective. 120 meters, and he shot the president. Good thing, or sorry, the about to be, the potential, the former president, whatever you want to call him, who moved his head and would have died if he would have not moved his head. That's insane. And by the way, they had 2 minutes to react. Meanwhile, with the Reagan attempted assassination, the Secret Service reacted in 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. The reaction time, how then they managed the entire precautionary situation. So before they should have analyzed, I think at least all the buildings at least in a range of, I don't know, 500 meters, even 1 kilometer. If I was the chief of the Secret Service, I would give some specific guidelines like that. You cannot leave people going on roof of buildings or of, like, as you said, 120 meters, if I'm correct. So I mean, you should check a range way larger than they did, and also in a totally different manner. They seem totally totally not caring about what they're doing. They were just there because they had to be there. They had to work to get money, but like not caring at all about the person they were actually protecting. And I don't know if I agree with you about the fact that probably was willful negligence, because I think it was just incompetence, honestly.
No, let me clarify. I didn't say it's willful negligence. Negligence, I'm suggesting it might be. I think it's incompetent first and foremost, 100%. But there are some theories saying that it could be a willful negligence. I don't know. I just like to act upon facts. So based on facts, it was incompetence. And that's not even debatable. What else? Let me think. Oh, yeah. This is also a very dangerous moment in American history, as shown by the shooting, because of the tribalism. We mentioned it before. The tribalism aspect means that the Republicans and the Democrats are acting as if they're a collective entity, but they're separated. They have different worlds. They hate each other. This also overlaps with the Strauss-Howe generational theory, with the 4 turnings. And I suggest the audience to really check it out. It takes like 5 minutes. I'm not even gonna summarize it. Essentially, it says we're at the last turning, and this is where I'll give a little summary. And in the last turning of Western civilization, or at least for America, you have a crisis where people are separated by different morals. They're energetic. There's adrenaline. So you've seen this with January 6th. You've seen this with the Black Lives Matter riots. You've seen this with the Trump assassination attempt. You've seen this multiple times. Charlottesville. Every time there's like a violent, energetic happening or event in the last years, that overlaps with this theory, which says there might be a civil war and or a general war. I am very concerned about this. I hope it does not happen, but that's just an insight. What do you think?
I mean, I have to be honest, I've never heard about this theory, so it is the first time I heard about it. And by the way, thanks for the summary. I mean, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting, and it reminds me to another theory, which is the demographic transition theory, because the United States now are also in a very particular situation, as well as other countries like Italy, Japan, Germany. I mean, not at the same level, because the 3 I just mentioned are among the oldest countries in the world, but all the United States will face in the near future an incredibly interesting demographic scenario, because Hispanics and Blacks are foreseen to become the majority of the population, the United States population, if I'm not wrong, within 2045, 2050. And so this is interesting, because it will probably change also not also, but surely the political scenario on many aspects. So on who you should vote, who will be the leader, because probably we will also witness an Hispanic president, another Black president, or even a series of Black presidents, which could be really interesting for the United States, which could be on a new development path. So I mean, and this is also witnessed right now with Kamala. We see Kamala is a woman. She's a Black woman, and so she's being the candidate right now, and she's already the second candidate after 2010, when Barack Obama was elected. There was also among the Republicans candidate, if I'm not wrong, Tim Scott. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm right. Yeah. So there is a lot of changes which could happen, and demography has to be considered as well for that, because demography is believed to be one of the factors which shapes politics, which shapes international relations. So it's interesting how these two theories, the one you mentioned and the one I mentioned, could like be intertwined.
Yeah, the generational theory, check it out. It's really compelling. Let's just touch on Kamala for the last topic, and then we're done. I think Kamala brings some fresh air to the Democratic Party. She's younger, she's more energetic. I don't think she's as competent as many ought her to be, but definitely better than Biden. I think Gavin Newsom, or hell, even Michelle Obama, or many candidates which I probably don't even know of, would have been better. I think she's more of a, look at me, I'm a woman and I'm Black, and so vote for me, Democratic base pick. So there's that. I don't know. But for the Democrats, I think this is more a battle of moral issues, so for social policies, a battle of, let's say, abortion with the Roe v. Wade, and they have to push that. For the Republicans, instead, I think they have to focus on migration, economy, and foreign policy, the ones we mentioned before, and Trump wins there if he only focuses there, but he's going for it with the ad hominem. Plus, I would have picked another candidate. I would have picked Vivek Ramaswamy if I were a Republican, because Vivek is younger, he's energetic, he's smart, he knows what he's talking about, he's independent. So, for example, say Vivek Ramaswamy versus Gavin Newsom, or I don't know, Michelle Obama, or even Kennedy, by the way, which should have been a Democrat candidate. That would have been so much better. That would have been a better fight and a better election. Lastly, and then I'll let you say the final words, Ale. I have two criticisms, or insights rather. One, which is when Kamala said, "I will not be silenced on the suffering of Gaza," and then in the same speech she talked about defending Israel. So it's a bit of a hypocrisy going on. I think just like with American politics, when they say a lot and then don't do much. Plus, with Biden, I don't know what's going on, but I've seen Biden very willing to continue the election until 2 weeks ago, and then he just disappeared. So I think they forced him out of the race.
Yeah, I think he may have been forced by the Democratic Party, because they finally reckoned that it was not the best candidate for them. Even if here I have my last criticism to conclude and to let the audience think about it. Why wasn't Kamala voted by people, and she was only picked by the Democratic Party without listening to people's ideas, people's opinions?
Yeah, great point. And with that said, leave some feedback and any questions on any of our platforms, which are
Instagram and LinkedIn, Network Studenti Sicurezza Italiani, NSSI, and our new YouTube channel, as well as podcast platforms, Spotify and Amazon Music.
And to our American audience, always remember to be free!